This is the Comedy Kiosk, podcast by Mondae and Munoz. Please welcome Mondae and Munoz.
Welcome to the Comedy Kiosk, a podcast in which we discuss news, opinions, and ideas about comedy. I'm David Munoz.
And I'm Igor Mondae.
And I sound like I'm from a radio show.
Yes, hello and welcome. Today we're giving 2 tickets for the global trotters. What are they called?
Globetrotters. Oh, the Globetrotters.
Globetrotters, yeah.
Harlem Globetrotters.
Harlem
Globetrotters. Because, that's not good. It's not the Globetrotters unless it's from Harlem. But we are not in Harlem. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss Igor's rest of his list. So your list was originally how many? 8 things you learned? 10?
Why would someone make a list of
Let's make it 15,
things?
People. Let's make it 15.
I had some time to think during the break since the last episode, and now it's 46 things I've learned doing stand-up.
Part 2 is now going to be divided into parts 3.4, 4.5, and 5.7.
Pay attention, because 46 more episodes are coming on this same topic.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so we left it on the last 5.
In the part 1, we did the first 5 things I've learned during comedy, and we're going to do the remaining.
Okay, can we do a quick
5.
rehash of the first 5? Like what each one was in short?
Yeah, so the first 5 were first, and just let me remind everyone, if you haven't listened to that episode, listen to it first, I would say, and also the part 1, not necessarily, but just so you kind of understand.
I'll flip it and reverse it, as Missy Elliott would say, you know?
All right, what an obscure 2002 reference.
I know.
Of like hardcore R&B fans, or what was it called? Top of the Pops.
Top of the Pops.
kind of list. Yeah. So basically, after doing stand-up for 7 years, I decided to compile a list of things I've learned during this time performing and organizing stand-up here in Moscow, in Russia. But I think it might be useful and interesting for people in other cities or countries as well that are trying to do stand-up either in their own language or in a foreign language like we are doing it here. In the previous episode, we went through the first 5, and those were, number 1, if you want it, make it happen, which said like, go out, take things in your own hands,
make your own destiny.
Find your own shows, organize shows, fight for the spots, like do it. You want it, do it, right?
Yep.
Second one was use your opportunities, perform, make connections, and get exposure. So basically, be active. Yeah, mingle, shake hands, be active, ask for spots, ask for some kind of chances to perform, to tour, to organize something, whatever. Third one was know your value, set your own conditions. And it was about getting that every opportunity and every chance, but on your own terms.
So not being exploited.
Yeah, exactly. You're not letting yourself or the rest of your colleagues in the scene being exploited either. Fourth one was don't work with cunts. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Which basically said,
surround yourself with positive people that you like working with, that you enjoy, and that aren't going to bring you down or bring the scene down or things like that, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, fool me once kind of principle.
Yeah.
And number 5 said, always be your own biggest critic. Be honest with yourself and be humble. So, evaluate, watch yourself, be reasonable, listen to any constructive criticism that people might have and keep working on your act. Try to look at it from an objective point of view.
Yeah, there are no goats.
There are many goats.
No, they're not. Are they? Would you say there are a lot of goats? I don't know. Would you say goat is there can be more than one goat? Because really, I mean, the whole point of goat is that, what is it, the greatest of all time. I hate anyone. It's the same thing as when anyone basically says their country is the greatest or the best. I just feel like going, you haven't traveled then. You haven't been out, or you have really limited experience of what things, or you're only looking at 1 or 2 criteria. It's bullshit. Basically, it's bullshit. And that's thing that it does not exist. There is no greatest of all time.
Not to go into theory of language too much, but I think when people say the best, they don't mean.
I know.
If someone would say this is the best coffee in the world, they don't mean it's literally they've tried every cup of coffee and this is the best one. I think people use the word.
No, what they're saying is based on their opinion. It's the greatest coffee that they've tried, or that's what they're trying to say.
No,
but in
not.
My case, I'm like, if you can make that statement, like, for example, like, you have those stores like, we make the best hot dogs. in New York, for example. I remember Tim Minchin, the comedic musician sort of thing, /musician / actor and everything. But he had in one of his comedy specials, he did the whole thing where he made fun of the fact that in this burger joint, I'm like, wow, that's really presumptuous to be able to say we make the best hot dog. Or, I can't remember what food it was. It might have been hot dog or something else. But the point is, like, he was saying, how can you say that? Like, how do you know? Have you gone out, like you said, and tried every single other hot dog? No, you haven't. But the point is, people are saying it based on their opinion. But what then I'm saying is that your opinion then is very limited because you are just basing it on your experience. And if you think that you have a sufficient experience to declare that, that's a bit much. I don't know.
I feel like this episode quickly turned into, what do you think? What's the best?
Yeah.
And then who's the goat?
There are no goats. That's my point. There are no goats.
There are no goats, people.
Yeah.
If you live somewhere in like Scotland and on your daily route to work, you see a herd of sheep or goats or whatever, they don't exist. It's all in your head.
Oh, the sheep do,
goats,
but not the goats.
Oh, just okay. The sheep exist, people, but goats don't. All right, so let's go further through the list. Hear the remaining 5 and discuss them, and hear what you think. I'll explain how I came to this one, why I decided to include it, and so on.
Okay.
All right. So number 6 says, "Help others and ask for help." It's a little like fluffy one. I decided to include, like a little cute kind rule, let's say, or thing I've learned. Okay, it's not rules. You don't have to obey like by these things I've written, but like I think it's, be ready to be a part of the community and share your knowledge, share your experience, share whatever you learned, contacts you have and stuff. But also don't be afraid to ask for the same help back. I don't know, like funny little piece of trivia. A shout out to one of our comedians here in Moscow, Mathieu from France, who after listening to our last episode where I said, if you want something, go out and do it, right? That was the first one. He decided to start a French open mic here in Moscow.
I saw, I liked it on Instagram. I started following his thing, and I saw that, Francophone, blah, blah, blah. It was written in French, and I had no idea, so I liked it. And then I was like, oh, he's doing it in French. I was like, good for him.
Yeah, excellent. I think it's excellent that people are proactive and they're doing what they want to do. And he just messaged me and asked for some advice and how to set up the sound and stuff. So I'm saying, like, if you know that someone can help you, can give the right advice, maybe some contact, maybe some equipment, maybe anything that someone can help you with, just feel free to ask. You know, I think, and again, help others when they ask. I think no matter what kind of scene or market you are on, is it like competitive or cooperative or whatever, I still think the fundamental part of stand-up is the community. Because I would say that all comedians in the world I've ever met are kind of the same. Like they have those some
fucked
kind
up.
of, they have some qualities that, bind us all together.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, help thy neighbor as you want thy neighbor helped upon thyself. I don't know. I've never Bibled, but but it sounds like something that what's
I like using that as a verb. I've never Bibled before, so forgive me. First time Bibling.
First time Bibler.
First time Bibler. Long time fan.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like something that the guy from the Bible said. What's the guy's name?
Bob.
Simon.
Simon. Wasn't it John? Actually, no, it's a bunch of people because it's Matthew, Luke, John, a whole bunch of people in the Bible who talk and say shit.
Yeah, it's our whole comedy scene here.
It's a whole comedy scene.
Matthew, Ivan, Andrei,
Oleg, the book of Oleg.
Yeah, there is a book of Oleg, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Genesis. So I don't know. It's pretty simple and it's pretty straightforward. What do you think about this one? Like, through your own experience, is it something that you would recommend doing?
Well, yeah, actually, I would. I think it's really good to get especially some feedback from some people. I remember, for example, one of our comedians, Abed, he would ask me for critiques. He would, I would watch his show, and then later on I would say, okay, this part was strong or this part wasn't. And I know that he does it now with Kirill and things like that. Like, the two of them give each other a lot of feedback, and you can tell it's helped them both really develop. And especially I've seen, like, a lot of growth in Kirill and especially his, like, his style and things like that. And his material. And you can see this back and forth works. It's about helping each other, as you said. That's really great to see. Also, I think, as I say, charity makes you feel more positive or better, I think.
Is that also from the Bible? Because I have a Bible.
It might be part of Bibling, or maybe not. I'm not sure. But the thing is that, so the idea is it helps with your self-esteem. It helps with your thing when you help someone else. And they say also, the other thing is, to teach is the best way to learn. And I think that's very true. As a teacher, I have actually learned a lot of what I teach by teaching it at the moment. Like you learn, the book says, say this, do this. And then when you're explaining something in your own words, all of a sudden it clicks. And it's happened to me in the classroom. It's happened to me outside the classroom when I've been planning. And I think the same thing happens when you're telling someone about comedy. When you're giving advice on, it works better this and that. Maybe you should try this. Maybe you should try, a different voice. And then you realize, I can use that in my bit. Yeah. I can do the exact same thing. And I think that's really valuable. So I agree. I think helping others, even if for a selfish motive, as in to help yourself become better, then do it. But also it is good. It is nice when you see people helping each other and you help someone else and you can see them develop or grow or take something on board and it works.
I would say that I agree with this thing about teaching and also kind of giving some feedback or even criticism to other people. I think you learn how to accept it better yourself.
Yeah.
As kind of, if you come to someone and say, well, listen, that joke didn't work like 3 times, 5 times in a row, but this is why, or what if you do this? Then next time someone comes to you and you're like, maybe I should listen to this person because someone has also I have noticed someone's mistake, someone has noticed mine. You are more kind of open to this, let's say, idea exchange and advice and this kind of stuff. So in any case, I think there is nothing to lose by helping others and there is nothing to lose by asking for help. And
exactly, because remember, you are not a goat.
You are not a goat and you are not alone. If you feel you are alone, dial 0800. That's just David's phone.
Husky voice.
You can email us at thecomedykiosk@gmail.com and we're going to talk to you to save your life. Number 7. Shall we move on? Number 7 says, take a break, see the bigger picture.
Ooh, okay. What do you mean by that?
By that, I mean...
Quit? Are you telling people to quit?
No, I'm not. That would be quit, go do something else, which I think is also good advice I've learned. But here I'm trying to say the stuff I've learned if you want to keep doing comedy.
Right.
I think from time to time, you need to take a break. I think especially doing it intensively, like every day or a few times a week, and sometimes running from shows to from a show to show, sometimes just hanging too much with comedians and you kind of just become, okay, I'll just go around roast everyone. Then you come to a family dinner and you're like, what's up with this turkey, mom? You suck. You get into this mindset of like everything is a joke and stuff. Sometimes you get too tired, you just burn yourself out with that and you kind of have no motivation or interest or inspiration to write new stuff, to perform the same stuff and so on. Take a break. I don't think it's a problem if you don't perform for a week, for a month even, and so on. Make it kind of, let it be the thing you miss, because then you're going to come back and you're going to be way more motivated and interested to actually do it well and to impress yourself and others and so on. And I think it helps with seeing the bigger picture when you kind of take a step back and when you're not actively in every show, even just sit in the audience. From time to time, come to a show, even your local show with your friends or colleagues, peers, whatever, but don't perform. Don't host, don't perform, don't anything, don't engage. Just sit there and observe. I think it's also a good way to see how the audience sees this show, how the audience sees like the person that meets them at the door, the host being 10 minutes late with the show, the waiters, the food service, the sound. Is it too loud when you sit in the front row? Is it too quiet when you sit in the back row? Is it too dark? Is it, you just kind of let yourself have a different perspective, different point of view. So I would say from time to time, it has happened to me and people have come to me saying, you know what, I don't think I want to do comedy anymore, or at least for a while, for like a week, a month, some period of time. And I think that's perfectly fine. Both cases, if you don't want to do it at all, I mean, step down. But if you want to take a break and take a look at it from a different perspective, have some rest, have some time to do some other stuff, like your private life or whatever, corporate life, whatever you have going on. I think sometimes it's the best way to go because you can't go like head forward through a wall sometimes, but if you take a step back, you can jump across that wall.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I think that's also from the Bible.
Yeah, I think it was the part where John jumps over Exodus or something.
Yeah, it's the book of construction.
Wasn't it like Moses jumped over the Red Sea or something? And,
that's he was like, if you can't go through the Red Sea, just take a step back and like run up to it.
Yeah, get a run up. Get a run up. That's what I think God told him. He was like, dude, take a run up. Just go back a little bit. And go back closer to Cairo. Okay, now run.
Climb the pyramid.
Yeah.
You're going to have a bit higher ground.
Yeah,
and
ramp.
jump.
Use the ramp. Use it like a ramp.
And
Speed
jump.
up. Okay, so yeah, no, I absolutely agree. As you know, like I've never managed to be able to do this as a 3 times a week sort of thing. Like I've never done it more. I think twice a week is the max I've managed to do it really. And even then it wasn't being consecutive. Like it might be a period of a month where all of a sudden I do two, and then there's a while I don't do it. I've never been the most consistent. But in a way, this harkens back to a previous episode of quality over quantity or quantity over quality. You know, it's that thing of sometimes taking that break, one, lets you recharge your batteries, which sometimes is very well needed. Because like you say, you get so involved in the scene that you can't see the forest from the trees. Like you just can't see all the pieces that make up. You're just almost on just instinct. You're just running on it, which is great. And sometimes some things can come out of that, which are wonderful. But then if you don't stop and analyze it, then you're just not going to be able to repeat it. It's going to be very instinctive, which is great. In some ways it's good, but in other ways it's not, because then you can't pull it out of the hat when you need it. It's just when the mood is right, which is what happens a lot with comedians. You know, we end up in this sort of like, oh, tonight was a great set. I did this. Oh yeah, I went into that. I improv like really into different bits and smoothly transition. Great. Can you do it again tomorrow? Probably not, because I don't know what elements exactly made that. But a real professional is someone who's analyzed the hell out of that, maybe taken that step back and gone, yeah, okay, so it was that. So I need to put myself in this situation and that will lead me here. But if this doesn't work, then I need to alter it a bit. Anyway, so there's that.
I would say it helps you just miss it a bit and be more passionate
that's right.
about it.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. That's the other saying I was going to use as well.
The classic New Testament line right there.
Yeah, basically that's why Jesus disappeared afterwards.
For 33 years.
Yeah. That and the crucifixion. That's pretty much, he's like, when he was leaving, he was going towards heaven. He's like, you're gonna miss me,
but I'll be back.
And then he starts to return. Why? And religion got bigger and bigger. Why? Because we're still, the longer he's gone, the more we miss him and the more we want him back. And
in the business, we call that a comedic pause.
Yeah. Or an abusive relationship, really. I mean, Jesus, what are you doing? Come on. So anyway, the point is that, it's sometimes it has happened. And I think for me, like my biggest break that I ever took was when I went and lived in Madrid. And I didn't do any stand-up during that period of time. And my then girlfriend noticed that I talked about doing stand-up a lot. And again, until one day she got fed up and went, oh, really? You're a comedian, are you? Because I've never seen it. And just paused right there while looking at me dead in the eye. Like, really? That's a lot of talk, but no action, is what she was saying. And I was like, okay. Basically, I was like, oh, shut up. But the thing was that when I agreed to come back to Moscow then for, our relationship to continue, one of my things was like, okay, I want to do this more seriously. I want to do this more often because, I needed to do it that way. And I really did miss it. And I really, I got into it with a lot of more passion. And I notice sometimes the passion ebbs and flows. So I agree. You need to take those breaks sometimes to recharge your batteries, see it from outside. And a good point you said was to keep going to the comedy shows, like not all the time, maybe not as often, but like do go to a couple and go as an audience member. And I think one mistake that we make, and it's part of everyone, like we do it to ourselves, but also when you guys seat people, like with comedians, we always put the comedians at the back. Even if they're not performing, we tell them, go to the back. Because it's like, well, and I get the idea of like, you don't want them in the front row because I've heard the jokes a million times. They're not going to laugh. So they're going to be sitting there with that dead face. But I think sometimes that's not quite right. Okay, don't put them in the front row, but put them in the second or third row if they're not coming for the show. And I think we need to experience it directly, 100% as an audience member. We need to be able to like you said, know that when the show is like 10 minutes late, like sit there kind of going, oh, come on, get the show fucking started. And then, we're like, oh, so that's what it feels like when we, and ah about something, or, really get more emotional. Because I think a lot of times we sit and we put ourselves even in the back because we want to talk to the other comedians and, we want to chill and be like, oh, we're in the VIP section. But it's like, no, you're doing yourself a disservice. Really get to feel it. And the moments that I have done that, when I have really just enjoyed it as an audience, there's less stress because you're not worried about your bit, your set or anything. and you just enjoy it completely relaxed, and yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it can be a different show, basically, when you're watching it as an audience member. And even the jokes you've heard 100 times, you are now seeing as an audience member, and you're like, oh, wait, I never kind of paid attention to this tag or whatever, because I was preparing for my set next or something like this. But I've also went not only here in Moscow to our shows, but to some other shows as an audience member. Like I remember one show in Berlin, I just went to see a show, just some other comics performing. And again, you can kind of see so much when you're not, just in the green room preparing your 5 or 10 or whatever, but you're actually just sitting there seeing every comic, seeing the host, how he handles the audience, the heckling, the introduction of comics, whatever. So I think, because I presume if you're doing stand-up, you love stand-up. You want to see stand-up. So go and see stand-up sometimes as well. Don't always come to a show and be like, hey, did someone back out? Did someone get sick? And I maybe get my 5 or whatever. Work for those spots. Like, hustle. Exactly. But sometimes also just sit back, relax, take a break and watch a show.
Exactly.
All right. Number 8 is a big one. And I think it's a mistake that people make usually in the early days, but I think it's something that you should actually take seriously, and you should you should incorporate into your attitude and into your work from day one, right? And it says, number 8, be professional. Treat it as work, respect others and their time and work. So if you are trying to, and this is a big if, and we talked about it also on some episodes when we talked about between kind of hobbyists and people who are trying to make it in this business, or to at least achieve some level of something, fame, income, whatever. First, decide that. If you're a hobbyist, have fun. That's it. Yeah. But if you're trying to get something from stand-up, whatever it is, like reach a certain level, do bigger shows, travel, tour, reach Netflix, whatever. Like, be professional from day one. Right. That's, I think, my best advice. Like, don't get wasted and come to shows. Don't be like an hour late. Don't forget you've been booked to a show. If you're asked to do 10, don't do 20. If you're asked to do 10, don't do 5. Show up a bit early if you can. Ask if maybe you can help with something, with, arranging chairs, with checking the mic, whatever. I think this is something, and as an organizer, I can tell you that it goes a long, long way. When someone shows that professional approach and attitude, and I don't have to worry like, okay, yes, we put this person as an opener, but will he be there? Did he forget? Should I call him? Should I remind him 26 times? Does he know it's 20, or will he do 10, etc., etc.? It's just you're just sending the wrong message, I think. I mean, maybe you're sending the right messages, that you don't give a fuck, but if that's your attitude, then don't go for that kind of level or that kind of those shows and so on. But if you are trying to be serious about it, like be professional, talk to people in a nice, calm, polite manner. When I say professional, I don't mean like official. I don't mean like only send emails with dear sir or madam, would you consider booking me for the next spot perhaps? Like, just, you don't have to be stuck up, you don't have to be official, you don't have to be whatever. Just be your attitude, be respectful, be serious, and be, I would say, responsible.
All right. Okay. In general, I agree. I slightly disagree in the sense of, I think it depends, but I think you kind of made the exception yourself. It depends on the style of show and things like that. I remember like when we joined, like, when we started in the beginning sort of stuff, like it was very haphazard and organized. I think at the end of the day, it depends on, I think a comedian, you should know the organization that you're working with. If they're very haphazard, if they're very disorganized, then chances are the comedians are going to be as well. Like, I think that's the sort of, it kind of matches, if you know what I mean. If you are, though, applying for a group, or you're doing it through a group that's very, pedantic with certain details and things like that, then it means that they expect the same from you. Like, as in, you will stick strictly to certain things. I think it depends on the clubs, the organizations and things like that. But I believe that you can easily suss out what level they're going to be. You know what I mean? What's expected of you based on them. You know what I mean? I think that's the big thing there. You should match it.
Yeah, but I think in any case, you should be able to bring that professionalism. I think when it's not needed, don't turn it on, whatever. Like you're going to some open mic that's organized by a group of just people who are passionate about stand-up and they don't care about any order or exposure or income or anything. Like go have fun, whatever, you know. But I'm saying kind of if it's better to have that professional side to you and approach than not to. Because if you do decide to take it to the next level and you say like, okay, I'll go to Berlin and do the Saturday night Cosmic Comedy Showcase, right? Which is, let's say, in Europe, some kind of prestigious show to do because you can do it only if the organizers know you, if you can send some good clips, if someone's going to vouch for you or whatever kind of reason. Like they're not gonna, if they've seen you perform maybe on their other shows, open mics several times, you're not just going to kind of roll through the city and be automatically included in such shows. You have to, let's say, earn it. So if you are booked for that show and you don't have that professional side available to turn on demand, right? You might do the same as you do always on the shows you do. I don't know, have 5 beers before you start and like mumble words and stutter and whatever. Forget your punchline. Bring a huge sheet of paper that lists all your jokes because you can't remember and you've never learned any of them. You might be late. You might be like whatever. You might overstep. They give you 10 minutes, you do 13, which bites into time of another comic, and then you're making enemies instead of making friends while you're traveling and meeting new people. So I would say it's better to have that professionalism, and if it's not needed, turn it off, whatever. Than not to have it, and when it is needed, be without it and be stuck in a situation where you basically don't know how to behave or how to approach some certain situations. And while there are many, I would say, kind of, you know, just for fun, open mics and shows around the world, I presume, and even here in Moscow. Again, if you're taking it to that next level and if you want to do something, anything with it, if you want people to pay to see you, I think anytime you're selling a service, you should deliver the product. And if you're doing that, if you're asking someone to pay something, doesn't matter if it's $1 or $2,000 ticket for your show. If you're asking someone to pay for something, you should be professional and responsible about that money that the organization or yourself or whatever is earning, and you should take it that way, you know. So I've seen people do a lot of things that, you know, I just would never consider. And if I was that organizer, if I was that tour manager, whatever, I would never work with them again, right? Because, you know, I've seen people come to a bar to perform and get into an argument with a bartender that works in that bar. Like that's a no-no. You know, like why would you do that? I've seen people. I've seen an open mic, and this was an accident. Like the guy didn't know, but there was a Russian open mic, maybe like Wednesday. No, sorry, it was Saturday. It was Saturday at like 4 p.m. Right. So there are many open mics and high-profile shows here in Moscow, especially on Saturdays with like. But this was like an open mic in a small craft beer bar. It could fit maybe 20, 25 people at best, right? And it's Saturday at like 5. And I think it might have been during like the World Cup or something, because there was like no one in the city. Everyone was like somewhere, or it was just summer where everyone in Moscow goes to their country house or travels somewhere to the seaside. Or just
goes to the park. At 4 o'clock, they'd rather be walking in a park.
Exactly. Not in a basement bar, whatever. So there were maybe like 10 comics and 4 audience members. Like, so it was something like 15 something people, up to 20 people, but most of them were comics or like, you know, a girlfriend of a comic or something like this. Like, you know, it was all like, kind of like a closed community, closed circle, right? So the host goes on, realizes there is no actual audience to like crowd work or whatever, asks the first comic on, second, third. And one guy just kind of comes from the door and he's, let's say, fairly well-known and maybe I would say famous. He's not like, you know, top shelf comic, but he's known in the circuit and, you know, he does like paid shows and big shows and stuff. So he came and he was like, can I do 5? And the guy was like, yeah, of course, you're next. Because when that kind of profile of a comedian comes, they always get a spot. Right? So he's unaware of this mic, of the room, the setup, anything. He just came from the street and went on stage, right? So he goes like, all right, so the first thing I want to talk about is pigs, something. Did you notice how we eat pigs, but then some people have them as pets, whatever, like he's telling some joke. And then he looks around the room, and there is one guy sitting at the bar on his laptop.
Right.
With his headphones and just doing something like working or whatever, doing something. And he's like, hey, you guy at the bar. And the guy's like, yeah, what? And he's like, did you come here for the show? The guy was like, no, I'm just working. And he was like, of all the places in Moscow, the cafes, Starbucks, whatever, you chose this place to work while there's like a live comedy show going on. And he was like, yeah, so? And the comic was like, well, aren't you an idiot or whatever? Like, we're trying to make people fun, make people laugh here, and we're loud and stuff, and you're just sitting there doing your little spreadsheets and stuff, and the audience like laughed and so on. And he's like, why did you choose this bar of all the fucking places in Moscow? And the guy goes, because I own this bar. So basically,
lovely.
like he picked on the owner of the bar, who was kind of in the background seeing how the show is going, but also going through some spreadsheets and probably like some whatever. And he like just kind of picked on him and made fun of him for sitting in his own bar doing work. Obviously, he didn't know that's the owner of the bar, and that can happen to anyone. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, you know, I've also seen the cases. Well, you would remember the show when there were like good close friends of the owner of the bar accidentally at our show. Like the guy, the bar owner booked our show and some private party at the same time. And then he was like, let's merge them together.
No.
So, yeah. So, you know.
Don't do that.
And you were the one picking on one of those guys because he was absolutely being a dick. And, you know.
Who later on came up and said that he loved me and that it was a really great show and that I was awesome.
Yeah. I mean.
Which was like, I literally called you like... one of those, I kind of pointed out the fact that he was this grey-haired guy who was trying to shag a 20-year-old girl.
Many. But that's the thing, like, you know, you kind of earned his respect, whatever. You put him in his place, and then he was kind of, okay, I should shake this guy's hand because he's not afraid to tell me, you know, whatever, put me in my place, etc. But but he was like a good friend and invited by the owner of the bar, which again, like you kind of maybe didn't know and stuff. But you know, like be kind of aware of such things, especially as an organizer, maybe rather than a comic, and don't get into any, you know, don't like try to like I don't know, flirt with. I know a guy also that I worked with who basically tried to get in the pants of every female that ever had any contact with our shows. Doesn't matter, in the capacity of, I'm an art director of a bar. Cool, what are you doing tomorrow? Let's go on a date. I'm a waitress in a bar. I'm an audience member. I'm a comedian. Whatever, in whichever capacity it was, he was trying to get with them. And it really, really, really created very negative feedback. Because, you know, when you
Why,
try
because
to...
he was ugly?
No, but because it doesn't matter. Like, you're not, at the end of the day, it's not going to work. Like, it's not a long-term thing, probably. Right? So you work with a new venue. I remember there was this new venue, and the art director was a girl that came to our shows like a year and a half ago. She really liked it. She came like regularly, a few months every Friday or whatever. Then because of work or something, she couldn't. She was quite a young girl, I don't know, 20, 21. And she became an art director of a place that really wanted English program. Yeah. So it was a great opportunity. It was a really nice place with a stage, with a green room. They would give us, I don't know, Sunday at 7 or 8, like a good spot. And then he asked her out. They went on like 2-3 dates. I don't know what happened, but after that, it was kind of, I was like, so are we going to do shows in that bar again? And he was like, no. She's not talking to me anymore.
Oh, ouch.
And that's it. Like, you know, it's always, or audience members, you know, like there's a group of girls, 5 girls who keep coming to a show. You fuck one of them, they'll never come again. You know what I mean? Like, it's just awkward to be there again.
All right,
like,
I'll stop. God damn it.
Or even like, I mean, one, okay, don't fuck 3 of them. You know, like that's
limit yourself, man. Think of the big picture.
Yeah. So I mean, even as a comic, I think as a comic, it's maybe a little bit more flexible. As an organizer, definitely don't do that. But even as a comic, if you at some point want to organize something, or if you want even the respect of your peers or something like this, you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be the.
Some people do. Some people, you can tell they want to be that. They want to be like, I'm the stud. I get all the chicks. You know. But then that's their prerogative. We discussed before. So why to get into comedy? We've discussed in the previous episodes where it's like, well, some people do it in the beginning. A lot of people do it to meet people of the, you know, that they're interested in, maybe for for relationship or whatever, or like, just to meet people and stuff like that. And for some people, that is the primary goal at the beginning for some. And later on, hopefully it changes and they learn to actually just enjoy the actual art form and all the rest. But it is. And this also ties back to the, comedians, the new rock stars. I think some comedians do try to treat it like they're the new rock star, like they're the guitarist in the band or something.
In that case, at least don't shit where you eat. At least don't do it with the staff and the colleagues, like audience members, so-called groupies, if you're such a rock star or whatever. Okay, fine, but not like the director of the venue, not like the fellow comedian that you perform with, because we had those cases as well. And then you can't put them in the same show. You can't be like, this Saturday we have, I don't know, this girl and this guy, because they don't want to kind of see each other, so you're just limiting your options and you're just becoming that guy that's hard to book because of some baggage that you carry.
And that links back to a previous episode about dating for comedians as well, if you're interested.
Love and relationships, I think it was. Right. So I would just say, have that attitude ready to turn it on when you need it, the professionalism, like the way you, also, it's not even just about, the way people kind of, let's say, talk about money. Mm-hmm. Being paid for shows and stuff. Also, I've noticed that some people don't care about it, but some people are also very unprofessional about it. Like, for example, they would book you for a show, but not for a paid show, but never agree on financial terms or never pay you after that, or pretend it never happened, or vice versa. Like
what
comics.
Show on Saturday?
Yeah,
I did 20 minutes. Really? I don't remember.
Where here in Moscow? You mean you were? That was you? I thought that was a different Australian guy. Wasn't that a kangaroo on stage? What are you talking about? No, but I mean, not like that. But kind of, You know what? My bank just took something. I was next month. I'll get back to you and I'll see if I can move some money around. Blah blah. Then you have to for 4 months ask a person to pay you your $50 fee, which is, it's not that I even I'll starve without it, but I've earned that money and this kind of stuff. So on the other hand, if you're a comic and not immediately after the show someone paid you, doesn't matter, you won't be paid once the money comes in through the system or whatever. And also don't be 20 times right after the show. I had this as well. People come to me right after the show and they kind of follow me home until I pay them. I'm like, man, we had online ticket sales. It doesn't come straight to my pocket. That's not how it works. So in terms of relationships and kind of treating other people, in terms of payment, in terms of being there to help if something is needed, being there early to do the mic check, coming sober, just have that professional approach that you are selling a service, you are providing a service, you're asking money for it. If you are, if it's a paid show, make it worthwhile. Turn that price into value, right? Yeah. All right, number 9. We have 2 to go. We are almost at the end of my list. Number 9 says, find what drives you and use it as fuel.
Cocaine.
Yes. If that's the thing that drives you.
Dun, 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 dun.
The Comedy Kiosk does not sponsor cocaine.
Cocaine sponsors us.
Other companies, other drugs are available.
Yeah, come on, we're not limiting. Speed is also kind of it can do in a pinch. It can do in a pinch.
Wasn't this in the Bible?
Yeah.
Sounds like something.
Man, what do you think Moses was on? That dude was tripping on cocaine and LSD.
Oh, this.
Oh, Jesus, man! What? Oh, wow! Voice of God! Come on!
This bush is on fire.
Yeah, woohoo, trippy.
Let's go home, Moses.
Yeah. Moses, buddy, come on, let's go. No. Gotta climb the mountain, man. Oh, fuck.
I will split the river. Bro, go home. You need a nap. But
I'll try to leap it.
I will jump the Nile. No, Moses, no.
For Christ's sake, could someone just get him to bed? Anyway.
Yeah. No, whatever that reason is, whatever your motivation is, whatever kind of, however you can manifest that passion, use that as fuel for your career or whatever, progress, development, whatever you're planning on doing with it. Yeah. So find that right thing that, that pushes you.
Exactly. So if your thing is to shag every single waitress and fellow comedian, if that drives you to become a great comedian, then do it. Go for it. Shag them all. Shag them all.
Well, I mean, even if that is the reason, no, but I mean, even if that's your sole motivation to do stand up professionally, maybe that in like 10 years you're banging not only like Moscow waitresses in the basement, but waitresses of O2 Arena or whatever, Apollo or
even just
Wembley
dating models. I mean, let's face it. That's what Gene Simmons or whatever from Kiss. That was his primary motivator at the beginning. Was just trying to bang chicks. That was his whole thing.
And the man is a global superstar. Yeah. So it works. I mean, whatever it is. If maybe you're trying to earn money with it. Maybe you want to just be rich and successful. Yeah. Maybe you're just paying off some mortgage that you just got for a flat in Moscow. Maybe you want to be fame. I know like people are, some people just want to be known. Some people want to leave a trace, leave something when they're gone. Legacy. You have your 2 specials on Netflix, and when you're gone, someone's going to be like, "Oh, this guy died," and like. And maybe 2 podcasters in Moscow are going to do an episode about all the dead comedians, and you'll be in it.
My God! No, we already did it, so they're too late.
No, but maybe there's going to be a new generation of podcasters in Moscow that are going to include your name when you die.
Maybe they'll do a podcast about dead podcasters.
Oh yeah, and they're going to talk about us.
Us, yes.
Wow, mindfuck. What an inception. Yeah, so I mean, if that's your motivation, right? If that's your goal, I would say whatever it is, like pinpoint it. Like pinpoint the motivation.
Be honest with it as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's maybe an even more important advice. Be honest with it. Don't be like, what I really want is, a full room of people to laugh at my jokes when I actually just want to bang. Just put on your Tinder, I am a comedian. That's the same as actually being a comedian. If your only purpose is finding girls who are into that, But whatever it is, pinpoint it, because I think going back to that, when you are kind of stuck, when you don't know, is it worth it? When you are tired or you are, drained, you have no ideas what to write, what to perform. When it's, when it's just, it's a freezing snowy day in Moscow, it's -20, and you have to go to a show and you're like, I don't want to leave why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Have that one thing that you go, because I want to have a Netflix special. And if I don't go today, maybe I don't meet the right person. Maybe I don't practice a new joke, and maybe it never happens.
Exactly.
So like pinpoint that reason and then work towards that reason.
Okay. So my question is, what is your reason?
Oh, I did not know this will backfire this quickly. When I wrote this list, 10 things I've learned, some things I have not learned yet, okay? Not everything.
10 things I have learned and maybe should learn at some point, because God damn it, I didn't think of that.
I don't have all the answers, David. Maybe in, another year or something, we'll do 10 things Igor understood in the past year.
But I would say also, and we have discussed, and I've mentioned it a few times before, where I've said it can change, though. Your motivations can change. I mean,
and it should change, I would say.
Yeah, because I've known like the comedians who have gotten into it with just, it's just to socialize. It's just not necessarily to bang people or anything as vulgar as that, but just, it's a way of networking. It's a way of, meeting a cool, interesting group of people and being a little bit of a mini rock star or whatever, just being like, the star of the show that night or whatever. And then later on it's developed and it's gotten, they've gotten more passionate about it and they've gotten a bit more, and you can see like their attitude changes towards it and they
it can come from, I know a guy who is now a regular comedian on our scene, and basically his original motivation was, I just want to speak better and be more kind of confident and free when I'm speaking to people, and especially on stage. So learn that public speaking skill, acquire that. And now he's a really good comedian who's actually very into comedy, not just some as a tool, as a platform for public speaking or whatever. So can change. Maybe it should change, because as you grow, as you develop, you can have different motivation. But
it can also go in the opposite direction. I'm going to be an international star. Okay, one Netflix special. All right, I'll be happy if it just gets on YouTube. If I get a gig this Saturday, I will be on top of the moon. All right, maybe next week.
maybe just a short clip recorded on a phone on my Facebook. That will do. That will do. I'm still a famous comedian.
Yeah.
The last one, big number 10,
Okay.
I would say
Ooh.
ties into the previous one. And after that, I will ask you the question you've asked me, and I will try to answer your question as well.
Right.
But let's then merge them together. As
All right.
number 10 says, choose your end game and work towards it.
So your ultimate goal.
Yes. So why? And again, asking that question, why are you doing this? What are you trying to achieve? And set some kind of, picture, some goal for yourself to reach. And every time you're not sure, should you do that show? Should you leave your home for this? Should you, waste money to travel and perform? Should you do that? Just see, does it fit that goal or not?
Yeah.
Right? Because for me, again, first 3 European tours I've done, I've lost, I wouldn't say a large amount of money, but I've lost money on it. But it fit the goal. I wanted to. And if I go to Fringe or something, I'll definitely lose money on it first year and whatever. But it fits. I need that to be able to, at some point, maybe publish my hour on YouTube. And then at some point later on, maybe be on some, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever have a solo show on Netflix. But also, who knows? I would love to. So my end goal is to push it as far as I can. And to see, can I make a career in comedy? Can this be my full-time real job? And can I earn a living performing and producing comedy shows? It doesn't have to be stand-up necessarily. It can be TV stuff. It can be some sketches. It can be whatever it is. I just love this life. I love this skill. I think I'm good at it. I think I can be better at it because I haven't even hit the 10-year mark, which everyone says it's the turning point of your career when you're confident enough and let's say experienced enough to really own it, to be yourself. So I would say that's my both the fuel and the end game is really turning it into something that is going to become my thing. You know, when I'll be 75 and on my dying bed, I have the date as well written down somewhere, not in front of me. It's in
this day.
It's in my Google Calendar. So I will be and people are like, what have you done in your life? I'll be comedy. That's what I've done, right? Not I don't know, accounting or whatever, sales or marketing.
Or banging waitresses.
Or I don't know, learning how to speak properly on stage. My thing is I want to be a comedian. That becomes a thing I do professionally and personally. So find that one thing you're working towards, picture it, draw it, write it somewhere, whatever, and work towards that. And to tie into that, your fuel and your end game. What are they?
That's a tough one, actually. I got to say, in the beginning, like I say, motivations change. In the beginning, for me, comedy really helped me as a constructive creative outlet. I've always had something constructive on the other side. Before in my 20s, it was much more geekier. It was, role-playing games and stuff. It was just a way of dealing with just being creative, creating stories. That was it, with a group of friends. But the problem that I had with it is, even though it's a lot of fun, and even now I still think about it and I think of stupid games that I could run or whatever, I haven't played a game like that in well over 10 years.
Sorry, David,
15.
are you a LARPer?
No, I never got into that. I didn't go that far. But I did. But the thing is, that was a way of me getting my acting out. Because the thing is, ever since I was a little kid, I'd actually done some acting sort of thing. I had done some plays or whatever. And one of the reasons I went to my school was for that reason, because I had a really good art department for acting. But I fucked up and I got into the wrong avenue as such. So I didn't end up doing what I should have done. I didn't realize it. And it wasn't until later on I went, oh, and that would have helped me into a trajectory to go to NIDA, which is the National Institute of Dramatic Arts in Australia, which is where Mel Gibson and a whole bunch of others, big actors, went to. I'm not sure, but maybe Nicole Kidman. I know there's quite a few Australian actors, maybe Hugo Weaving, studied at NIDA, maybe Kate Blanchett as well. I'm not sure. There's Rachel Griffiths. I'm not sure. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of them that did. But anyway, that was what I was supposed to get into, but I screwed it up. So then I did role-playing games as my creative outlet, but that's very insular and is not going to take you really much anywhere. And eventually I kind of realized it was consuming a lot of my time and I was screwing up other things just to play a game. Then I got into, and there was a period of depression and things like that. And for a long, long time. And when I discovered comedy, I realized my attitude changed. My life seemed a little brighter. It seemed good, a creative outlet. So for me, it was about getting that acting bug out there in a degree. And I think you agree, my stand-up is very acting-based sort of stuff, very dramatic.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
You're the most stiff wooden
One-liner.
one-liner deadpan performer
Yeah.
if I've ever seen one.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And that's all an act. That's how good I am. But no, so anyway, that's my point there was that was sort of, I got to admit, comedy really helped me get out of my self-made shell that I'd kind of accidentally made for myself, my own little cage. So that was my first impetus to get out. Now, where do I want to go? Where's my future thing? I think it's changed now. To be honest, like I'm married, we want to have a kid, and I'm now thinking more practical about career and things like that. I don't know if I can make anything out of comedy. I'd love to. I really would. My thing would be that. But after the recent competition we had, which we'll discuss in future episode, I had one of the guys come up afterwards who loved my bit, my set, and he mentioned, he's like, you would be great in a sitcom with your bubbly and your intense like emotions and very animated self. He's like, oh, I could just picture you in a sitcom. And then he kind of made the joke that he had some career thing, like, he's going to graduate and then he's going to create
If only he voted for you in the competition.
I know, if only he had. But the thing was that he was like, hey, maybe in future I'll set up some program. And I'm like, I'll keep you in mind. I'm like, you do that. And I'm like, I really do hope you do. And I have made a TV series, like a pilot for a TV series. I mean, it didn't go anywhere, but I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was interesting. I think acting is something like an end game goal. If I had to choose one through comedy, would be having a sitcom or something like that. But at the same time, I do love being on that stage. That has actually expanded more than I realized. Being on stage, performing, and then getting off, and just that instant gratification with the audience and knowing that you've done a good job or a bad job even. You walk off and you feel it immediately. Like with the acting part, you don't know until after the editing's being done and everything, and then you see it and you're like, oh, right, that didn't quite
it's
work
not
out.
really...
Oh, that was really good. I mean, it was interesting. I really like both of them, and I wouldn't mind maybe trying. I've been thinking about recently, maybe I should try to write at least the premise or an idea for a show or something for myself.
It's not really either or, many, like the biggest kind of comics in the world do both. Ricky Gervais is both writer, actor, and stand-up. Seinfeld got his biggest break, and like one of the biggest sitcoms is while he was a comic on a TV show and doing his bits during that TV show as well, like with the recordings from him, like doing stand-up live in a room and stuff like this. So it's not either or. I think you have, and again, it's here being a talented native English speaking foreigner in Moscow could open some doors. And again, we mentioned
they are limited doors.
There are limited doors, but there's also limited demand but limited supply. Like go to Britain or go to California, whatever, to be an actor at your age and stuff, like you'll never make, I mean, you know what I mean. Like there is just, but here you actually might, like one of our colleagues, and we mentioned him in one of the previous episodes, an American guy, Nate, who moved to Georgia, to Tbilisi, to Georgia, the country, and started English comedy there. He is also now a main star in one of their sitcoms, like Georgian sitcom on main Georgian TV channel. Cool. He plays the American, like he marries into like some family. It's a sitcom about some family, something like Modern Family, but in Georgia. So he marries into that family and he's like the American. So, like they constantly have to translate stuff for him. There is some misunderstanding where he doesn't know how to get somewhere, this and that. You know what I mean? Like kind of it's a sitcom, but I think it's a great opportunity. And I'm sure that for example, Russia produces many huge budget movies nowadays. Like they have this, and government supports like Russian cinematography and so on with huge grants and huge money. And they produce like huge, big budget movies. And definitely, like how Russians are always the enemies in like the Western, in Bond, in like Hollywood movies and stuff. Maybe you can be some kind of, not necessarily the enemy, but something like, I don't know, a spy in a Russian movie. You don't have to be a bad, like you can be the funny sidekick, the funny foreign sidekick who doesn't know what's happening because he can't understand something. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure there are
so basically real life, just basically me in real life with my wife, except we're replacing my wife with just some burly action guy and
Russian
and
actor,
that's it, action guy, and then that's it. It's pretty much him dragging me around.
So you would nail it. You already have all the experience. The resume is there.
Yeah.
So if anyone has an acting role for David, please let him know. He would love to do it, and that's his end game.
Oh yeah, actually. Eventually. Well, do some of that, and I would love to be able to just do it as a career, like be able to do acting and comedy. And like you said, it doesn't have to be one or the other. I know it's a little bit of a dirty thing, like for some comedians are like, oh, you're just doing this to end up becoming an actor, sort of stuff. But yeah, to a degree, yeah. But I don't want to let go of the comedy. Like I don't want to be where they forget. Like, I know that, for example, Robin Williams apparently, like, he stopped doing stand-up for a long, long time, for like 15, 20 years or something like that, because he got really into the acting and, he made some great movies and it was a great career for him. But then when he went back to the stand-up, and I remember under the suggestion of Chris Rock, who said, like, just go back, do that, because he felt himself empty. And then when he went back, he was like, oh, that's what I've been missing.
Yeah,
I don't want to make that mistake either, because I do think that doing stand-up is a huge element, that instant feedback. It's like the difference between, even in acting, between theater and television. It's that feedback, it's that applause, it's that, that reaction that you get, the energy. And that's just it. It's a palpable energy. It's hard to do that when you're actually in front of a camera.
Well, I would say even at this point, you're not doing stand-up at that level that it takes away from others. Like you're not touring and traveling. You're not like every day on stage. You're not driving for 5 hours and back just to perform. You're doing it more kind of casually when it works with your schedule, when it fits, when you're free on the weekends and stuff. So, I mean, if let's say you would act more professionally and have like acting roles, you wouldn't shoot Saturday evening probably, so that you could still go on stage and do your 10-15. So yeah, that sounds like a dream to chase.
Oh yes.
Right, so that was the 10th and the final point I've learned, and those were all 10 things I have learned. Igor Mondae's top 10 things I've learned during stand-up in the past 7 years. If you have anything to add, if you disagree with something, if you have additional questions or just want to comment something, don't forget to write anywhere where you found us, basically Podbean, our main platform, any other podcast app or website where you might have heard us, or you subscribe to our social media that we also have: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, exactly. So find us there. We hope you enjoyed it. Happy New 2022. This is our first episode of the new year. We took a little break during the holidays. Now we're back with more episodes. So keep an eye out for any new episodes we will keep on publishing this year. Thank you so much for listening. I have been Igor Mondae.
And I've been David Munoz. And ciao.
Goodbye. That was the saddest fucking goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Ugh, no, the previous one.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Somewhere in the middle?
Goodbye.